Hello. 1, welcome back. 2, how are you? 3, we're here to discuss anticipated releases. And I have my handy dandy notebook. I'm so sad that it is naked. My screen got all messed up like 2 weeks ago and I had to replace it. So I lost all my stickers. The man told me to get a clear case and I said I had a clear case in 2008 and they're horrible. I hate them. He was like, well, you're going to lose your stickers. R.I.P. Alright, so first on the docket is August 6th. We have Apprentice to the Villain. Now this is book 2 to Assistant to the Villain. Assistant to the Villain is a goofy, silly time. I think you should not take that book seriously in any capacity. It is just there for giggles. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. However, when I finished that book, I said, I'm not going to read book 2. Well, you know, current me kind of thinks maybe she wants to read book 2. Because Assistant to the Villain is essentially a girly pop who stumbles upon, I believe, our villainous character in the woods. He's wounded. And she helps him, and he offers her a job, or she's like, give me a job. I can't really remember. And then he's like, yeah, here you go. And so she helps him around his murderous, villainous castle, doing his administrative tasks. And then the book ends in a cliffhanger, which made me want to yeet it across the room, because what do you mean this is a series? So here we are, a year later, and I'm possibly reading book 2. Next on the docket is a book I've been waiting for what feels like forever, and which is This Ravenous Fate. I've been waiting for this book since the moment Haley's been talking about it on her YouTube channel, and I can't wait. It's sapphic, Harlem, jazz-aged, like a vampire fantasy. I want to say it's probably romantic as well, since it's in fact sapphic, but that's not what the little thingy-mabobs say on Storygraph. And yes, I'm using Storygraph because it is in fact superior to Goodreads. But I'm really excited for this one. Counting down the days. I will be purchasing this and not borrowing it from the library. Next is A Girl with No Reflection. This book, I don't know how I found it. I don't know how I stumbled upon it. I don't know if it was in the list or some other bookish person recommended it. But essentially, I'll read you the little tagline. If it sounds horrible, I'm sorry, as in like the way I read it. I am dyslexic. It makes reading out loud a hard time for me, but I'm going to do it for you. Okay. A young woman chosen as the crown prince's bride must travel to the royal palace to meet her new husband. But her world is shaken when she discovers the dark truth the royal family has been hiding for centuries. So essentially, that's the tagline, if I didn't already say that. But from what I get from the synopsis, she basically, right, is like off to go marry a prince or a king or whatever. But everyone she's not the first of her kind to have to do this, because everybody else tends to die and disappear. And so while she's being locked away in preparation for her marriage, she has this mirror in her room and she starts to see like weird things in it, and things like shake, like images are like floating by or whatever. And so the night before her wedding, she accidentally opens like a portal to it, and it opens into a mirror realm, and she's realizing that maybe everyone else disappeared and or died because there was possibly, I think, like a task. Like I think the last line is like, by the time they discovered what their role was, it was already too late. So I'm assuming she needs to figure out like her key and purpose. And if not, then she's a goner. Anyways, moving on to the 13th, we have Lady Macbeth. Here's the thing. I don't think I've ever really read Shakespeare, and I don't really think this will be for me. But what I am truly chasing is the high of The Wolf and the Woodsman. The first time I read The Wolf and the Woodsman, I gave it 5 stars. Swallowed it up. I loved every minute of it. And I've been chasing that high ever since, because I read Jupiter and Thorn, which I just don't think was for me. I feel like other people really liked it, but it just was not for me. And that's okay. And then I read A Study in Drowning, and it was okay. I don't know. I was just like, eh. I don't know. I don't know if that's because it was just like reading it right after Riley Sager's like The Only One Left or something, that I was just like, another gothic house on a crumbling cliff edge. Obviously, nowhere near the same story. But I really am just chasing the high of what it felt like to read The Wolf and the Woodsman for the first time. And maybe Lady Macbeth will do it. Don't hold me to it, okay? Then I have Mistress of Lies, which this one came up because I believe they were a part of that whole drama. And what was it? That person who like went and like review bombed all of her debut class. And I don't think this person was part of their debut class. I just think they happened to get like caught in all the shittiness of it all. So this one, I feel like I don't know a good way to describe it. So you're gonna get the synopsis from me. And again, if I read it horribly, I'm dyslexic, I don't know what to tell you. The daughter of a powerful but disgraced blood worker. Oh, I can't say these names already. Eek. We're just gonna say Leclerc. Has spent her entire life perfecting her blood magic, building her network of spies and gathering every scrap of power she could. Now, to protect her brother, she assassinates their father and takes his place at the head of the family, and that is the only start, and that is only the start of her revenge. Samuel is a bastard with a terrible gift. When he stumbles upon the first victim of a magical serial killer, he's drawn into the world of magic and intrigue he's worked so hard to avoid, and is pulled deeply into the ravenous, bloodthirsty court of the Vampire King. Tasked by the Eternal King to discover the identity of the killer, cutting a bloody swath through the city, Samuel and Leclerc and mysterious royal blood worker Isaac find themselves growing ever closer to each other, but Leclerc's plans are treacherous, and as she lures Samuel into her complicated web of desire, treason, and vengeance, he must decide if the good of their nation is worth the cost of his soul. Anyways, I'm kind of hoping that this is a little gay. And by gay, I mean polyamorous. And if not, I'm really here for a good time. So, that completes the 13th. On to the 20th, we just have Morbidly Yours. This one I stumbled across. Okay, I'm not a big contemporary romance reader. I'm just not. Or I have yet to find like contemporary romance that I like. I much prefer fantasy romance. I find that I only really enjoy YA contemporary romance because I think it's like I'm an adult and we can live fictitiously in a YA world, but it's hard for me to sit here and like listen to like 30 something characters like talk about TikTok. It's weird. I don't like it. I don't know. But I do occasionally try it out. However, this one is really exciting because it's about a demisexual Irishman in Galway and a widow from Texas. And I think she ends up going, I think it's called Morbidly Yours because he owns like a graveyard or he has like a funeral home in the family. And so that's his situation. He has to marry by 35, which is so fitting. As in, I love the age already of these people. And then she is just a widow from Texas. I want to say how old is she? They probably don't say anything. However, I'm just here for the demisexual rep. And the fact that the characters are like 35. Or at least he's 34, which is how old I am currently. And I think this is fun. I'm from Texas. She's from Texas. I've been to Galway. I'm going back to Galway. I think it'd be a good time. Why not? So that's the only thing on the 20th. And then lastly on the 27th is Don't Let It Break Your Heart. And I don't know. Okay, so I will also be reading the synopsis. So this one is You only get one soulmate, and I'm not throwing mine away. Alana and Gray have been the perfect couple ever since they got together before high school, and neither of them think they should have to change just because Alana comes out as a lesbian. Sure, things are a little different now, their romantic relationship is over, but their best friend since forever relationship is stronger than ever. And yeah, Alana sees the way her friends now exclude her in tiny, almost unnoticeable ways, but she still has Gray, and that's all that's ever mattered to her. Really, the only difference is that instead of kissing Gray herself, Alana sets him up with other girls to do that. But when the new girl, Tal, arrives, she stops Lana and Gray in their tracks. Suddenly, Gray's all in on his plan to get Tall to fall in love with him. And for the first time, Alana's reluctant to help. As Alana and Tall grow closer, and Alana begins to think Tall might share her feelings, she has to decide whether to embrace her queerness and risk losing the life she thought she was building, or continue to hide parts of herself and maintain the status quo. Now this is what really got me. This tagline at the very end of the synopsis. Don't Let It Break Your Heart is a tender and romantic exploration of identity, love, and friendship that turns the friends to lover romance trope on its head. So I'm like, what do you mean, turns it on its head? What do you mean? Anyways, the cover is so cute. Like, what? Anyways, so those are the 7 books that I'm looking forward to in August. What books are you looking forward to in August? Are you interested in any of these? Are these not at all on your radar? Do you have other books? Leave them down below if your heart desires. If not, do what feels right in your soul. Catch you guys next week.